birthplace of the human race. A species much like our own, capable of great compassion and great violence. For in our quest to protect the humans, a deeper revelation dawns. Our worlds have met before.
Hey guys, Alex Hollings from the Loadout Room here once again with another edition of How to Survive Anything, brought to you by our partners at the Crate Club. Make sure you swing by crateclub.us today to check out the great tactical gear in their airdrop store, their subscription crate service that'll send gear right to your door every month, and their rad t-shirts. Today I also want to throw a shout out to Leatherneck for Life. Any Marines out there, you don't get much cooler than Leatherneck for Life's shirts, hats, thermoses, and other cool gear. Make sure you check them out. Now today we're talking about something that I'll level with you I do not like, the universal edibility test. Now, this is something that you use in a survival situation where you've got to find something to eat and you are out of other options. You use the universal edibility test to determine if plants around you are okay to eat. Now, what's the best way to know what plants around you are okay to eat? Research ahead of time. Look at the plants that are in the region that you live in and do some research online or at your local library to determine which ones of those in your normal environment are good to go if you need to eat them. However, let's say you're in unfamiliar territory or you never bothered to do the research. You're stuck out in a survival situation, you do not know how long you'll be there, and you've got to find something to eat. What can you do to determine if the plants around you are okay? Let's break it down for you. Step 1. You're going to take whatever plant it is that you want to experiment with and break it down into its individual parts. Just because it turns out a bud, for instance, is safe to eat, does not mean the stem of that same plant is safe. So you have to treat every portion of the plant differently. Separate the bud from the leaves, from the stem, from the roots. Test them all individually. The first thing you want to do after you've split it all apart is give it a good whiff. Take that one thing that you want to test and smell it. If it's got a bad odor, chances are good it is not edible. If it has no odor, maybe you're good to go. So at that point, you're going to go to step 2 and rub it on the inside of your elbow, your forearm, or your wrist. This is a sensitive area of your arm, and you're going to wait about 15-20 minutes and look for signs of irritation. If it starts to turn red, if it's itchy or irritated, that is not good to eat. You do not want to eat something that's going to irritate your external skin. Trust me. So let's say that all seems fine. No irritation, you're all good. What are you going to do next? The next step is to prepare that plant as though you were going to eat it. Chances are good in a survival situation, you'll be boiling it, right? So go ahead and boil up a bit of it, wait until it's cooked, and then take a small bit of it out and just rub it on the inside of your lip here. Rub it on there pretty well, just like you did on your arm, and wait another 15 or 20 minutes. Wait for any indication of irritation. Your lip may go numb. Your lip may start to itch or burn, or just otherwise not feel good. It may swell. If any of these things happen, that plant is not safe to eat. You may end up with an irritated mouth, but you're way better off with an irritated mouth than an irritated gastrointestinal system. Diarrhea can be a killer in a survival situation. So, you've rubbed it on your lip, you've waited 15-20 minutes, nothing. Seems good to go, right? Next step is to take a small bit of it off, bite it off, and hold it in your mouth for 15 minutes. Don't swallow it. Just keep it in your mouth for 15 minutes and wait and see how your mouth responds. Again, we're looking for any indications of irritation. We want to know if your mouth starts to swell, feel fuzzy, go numb, or hurt. Any of those are bad signs. Any of those happen, spit it out right away. That plant is not good to eat. No go. Move on to the next one. You'll want to wait a while before you start a new test. If it does not, however, give you any signs of trouble at all, after those 15 minutes, go ahead and swallow that little piece. Now you're going to want to wait a longer time, like 8 hours, to make sure that eating that didn't cause you stomach cramping, didn't make you feel sick, nauseous. We want to make sure especially that we don't vomit or have diarrhea. Both of those can be really serious problems in a survival situation. Dehydration will kill you faster than most other problems in the wild can. So, swallow that tiny little bit, wait 8 hours, and see if you start spewing fluids out of either end, and make sure you feel okay. If you still feel good after those 8 hours, you are pretty much good to go to try eating that plant. I would highly recommend that you ease your way into it. Eat only a little bit more next time, and a little bit more the time after that. It is not a good idea to wait until starvation is on the menu before you go through this process, because it does take time. But you want to be patient. The last thing that you want is to give yourself terrible stomach cramps or diarrhea in a survival situation out in the middle of the wilderness. If you follow these steps, there is no guarantee that the plant you determined to be safe really is. There's also no guarantee of its nutritional value. What this can do, though, is keep you moving, keep you alive, and keep you fed until you're able to get yourself out of trouble or somebody finds you. Again, make sure that you take your time, take it slow, be patient, and plan ahead, and you should be all right with the universal edibility test. Until next time, I'm Alex Hollings from the Loadout Room. Swing by CrateClub.us for great tactical gear. Check out Leatherneck for Life just because they're awesome. And as always, go to loadoutroom.com every day for gear, adventure, reviews, and tips from me and the rest of the crew. Like and subscribe below this video for more, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay, now I will explain to you about how to conduct the edible plant test. For this test, there is 4 steps. The first one is separate and smell. The second one is skin test. The third one is lip, tongue, and mouth. And the last one is swallow a little bit. Alright, so for the first step, what you need to do is you need to separate the plant from to various off part, because you just need to focus at one part only. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, and then try to smell it. If there is a strong smell or unpleasant odor, don't proceed to step number 2 because the plant is not safe. Alright, if the smell is okay, you can proceed to step number 2. Alright, so for step number 2, what you need to do is you put the plant at your sensitive skin, like your inner elbow or your wrist, and wait for a little bit. Okay, so if there is no reaction, you can proceed to step number 3. If there is a reaction like breakout in a rash, numb, or itches, don't proceed to step number 3. Okay, so for step number 3 is you can boil the plant if you can, because it's want to ensure the cleanliness and the hygiene. And then rub it at your lip and wait for 15 minutes. If there is no reaction, you can put it at your tongue and try to chew it, and then wait for 15 minutes also. Okay, if there is no reaction, you can proceed to step number 4. But if there is a reaction like numb now and you feel nauseous or itchy in your mouth, try to spit it out and recover like you drink a bottle of water immediately. Okay, so for step number 4 is, if there is no reaction, for step number 3, you can swallow a little piece of the plant and wait for 2 hours. If there is a reaction like stomach ache, nauseous and fever, and also you might feel the joint pain, don't eat the rest of the plant because maybe the plant is poisonous. If there is no reaction, the plant has passed the edible plant test. So that's all about the test. Now I will explain to you about the advantages of properly conducting the edible plant test. The first one is as a preparation when it comes to emergency case. As human, you don't know how much you can survive in the forest. Just in case you don't have enough stock of food, or your stock of food is damaged because of natural disaster, you need to know that human body cannot survive more than 3 weeks without the food. And at least with the knowledge of the edibility plant test, we can get the more healthier food to survive. The second one is we can avoid from eating a poisonous plant. If we don't misconducting the edible plant test, like we don't cut the period time of every test, we separate first the every part of the plant and we follow step by step of the technique, the risk for us to eat the poisonous plant is low. And the last one is we can gain more knowledge. So if we properly conduct the edible plant test, our knowledge about edible plant test will be increasing, and in the future we can decide easily which plant is safe to eat and which plant is not safe to eat. Now I will explain to you about the implication of consuming wild plant without conducting the edible plant test. Right. The first one is you can easily get the gastrointestinal diseases. The symptoms for these diseases are the diarrhea, nausea and vomiting, heartburn, abdominal pain, and other else. The second one is it can cause a death. This is because you just pluck out the plant and put it into your mouth. If you do the test, the skin test, like you put the plant at your inner elbow or at your wrist, and there is a symptom of itches, skin burning, breakout in a rash, the plant is poisonous. And if you keep doing it for the next plant, your body will gain more poison and it can cause a death. The last one is high risk to eat the poisonous plant. It is because you cannot determine wisely if you don't do the test. Okay, every test have their own purpose, every test have their own benefit. The purpose of every test is to trace the level of poisonous to the plant.